This free step-by-step video comes to you directly from Haynes. You can complete more than 200 jobs on this vehicle when you purchase the complete Haynes online manual at haynes.com.
Place chocks each side of the front wheel diagonally opposite to the wheel being removed. Prise the plastic covers from the wheel bolts where applicable. Using the special anti-theft wheel bolt adapter where necessary, slacken each of the wheel bolts half a turn. Position the jack head under the reinforced section of the floor seam, indicated by a triangle in the sill. Don't jack under the sill flange. Raise the vehicle until the wheel is clear of the ground. Support the vehicle with an axle stand under the floor seam. Fully unscrew the bolts and remove the wheel. Using a pair of suitable thin flat tools, pull the storage tray from the rear of the centre console. Disconnect the wiring plug as the tray is removed. Open the rear storage compartment, undo the 2 torque screws and remove the compartment complete with cup holders. Pull up the rear section of trim from the console. Undo the screw each side and the screw in the storage tray aperture. Lift the rear section of the console over the handbrake lever. Disconnect any wiring plugs as it's removed. Undo the screws at the rear. The 2 screws in the centre and the screw each side at the front edge. With the screws removed, lift the rear section of the console a little. Slacken the handbrake adjuster nut. Disengage the inner cable from the caliper handbrake lever. Then squeeze together the outer cable retaining clips and detach the cable from the caliper. Counterhold the guide pins with a second spanner. Then unscrew the upper and lower guide pin bolts. Note that new bolts will be required. Pull the caliper from place and suspend from the suspension strut using wire to prevent straining the rubber hose. Slide the pads from the mounting bracket. Then prise off the upper, lower, inner and outer anti-rattle shims. Measure the thickness of the brake pad's friction material. If any pad is worn down to 2 mm or less, all 4 rear pads must be renewed. Clean the mounting bracket with a brush and brake cleaner. If new pads are to be fitted, the piston must be wound fully back into the caliper. To prevent dirt entering the hydraulic system, apply a clamp to the flexible rubber brake hose. Fit a spanner to the bleed nipple and attach a hose leading to a suitable container. The piston must be rotated clockwise at the same time as being pushed back. This is best achieved using a special retractor tool, but can also be carried out using a pair of circlip pliers. Open the bleed nipple and wind the piston fully back into the caliper. The displaced fluid will drain into the container. As the piston comes to a stop, close the bleed nipple. Disconnect the hose and remove the spanner. Remove the retractor and the hose clamp. Press the anti-rattle shims back into place on the mounting bracket. Slide the new pads into place, ensuring the friction material is against the disc face. Check that the guide pins slide easily and that the rubber gaiters are intact. Slide the caliper into position over the brake pads. Insert the new guide pin bolts and tighten them to the specified torque. Repeatedly depress the brake pedal to bring the pads into full contact with the disc. Repeat this procedure on the remaining rear brake. Insert the handbrake cable into the caliper bracket and reattach the end fitting to the caliper lever. Applying normal moderate pressure, pull the handbrake lever to the fully applied position, counting the number of clicks from the handbrake ratchet mechanism. If adjustment is correct, there should be approximately 4 to 7 clicks before the handbrake is fully applied. If this is not the case, adjust as follows. With the handbrake fully released, slacken the handbrake adjuster nut until both the rear caliper handbrake levers are back against their stops. From this point, tighten the adjusting nut until both handbrake levers just move off the caliper stops. Ensure that the gap between each caliper handbrake lever and its stop is between 1 and 1.5 millimeters. And ensure both the right and left hand gaps are equal. Check that both wheels or discs rotate freely, and then check the adjustment by applying the handbrake fully and counting the clicks from the handbrake ratchet. If necessary, readjust. With the handbrake correctly adjusted, lower the rear section of the centre console. Insert and tighten the various screws securing the console. Lower the console back into place over the handbrake lever, remembering to reconnect any wiring plugs. Insert the retaining screws and tighten them securely. Refit the rear trim, followed by the storage compartment. Tighten the various screws securely. Reconnect the wiring plug and press the storage tray down into place. Clean away any dirt, then apply a thin smear of anti-seize grease to the hub collar. Refit the wheel, then insert the retaining bolts and lightly tighten them. Remove the axle stand and lower the vehicle to the ground. Tighten the bolts to the specified torque. Press the plastic caps into place over the wheel bolts. Remove the wheel chocks.